something that you see. You know, you can drive by and never know it was there. And, we went, we've been like maybe 2 or 3 times. It's not cheap, it's always cheap. No, but they even
You just have to change the switch. There's a way to make it work. And this one's dead, so. No, oh, no, I think it's been switched. We just stole the other one. Yeah. Okay, it is 7 o'clock and time for the normal August meeting of the Caldwell Urban Renewal Agency. I would ask that our secretary call the roll, please.
Hopper?
Here.
Porter?
Here.
Warwick? Here. Ramirez?
Here. Commissioner Allgood is celebrating his anniversary tonight, so that's why he's not here tonight, and he's doing it in a very remote location with no cell service. And Mr. Wagner is getting through some health issues. We wish him the very best, but he's not able to attend tonight either. So, but we do have a quorum of commission members tonight, and as always, I would ask if any commissioner has a conflict of interest with anything that is on the agenda tonight. Seeing none, that takes us to special presentations. I don't think we have any special presentations planned, but I do know there's probably some people that want to make public comment tonight. So if anybody wants to address the commission about any item, please come forward. Oh, they signed up on the budget. Okay, that's fine then. We'll dispense then if there's no other public comments for the commission outside of the public hearings. All right, hearing none, that takes us to the consent calendar. I would entertain a motion to address the consent calendar.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Porter.
I would move that we adopt the consent calendar as presented.
It's been moved to adopt the consent calendar as printed. Second by Mrs. Warwick. Any discussion on the items? Hearing none, would the secretary call the roll, please?
Porter?
Yes.
Warwick? Yes. Hopper?
Yes.
Ramirez?
Yes. Okay, that handles the consent calendar tonight. That takes us to old business. This is the time and place for the public hearing pursuant to Idaho Code 51002 for consideration of our proposed budget for the Urban Renewal Agency from City of Caldwell. This is for our fiscal year, which begins October 1st for this year and runs through September 30th, 2022. Ms. Mitchell, you're doing the presentation, right?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioners, tonight you have before you a request to host a public hearing tonight on behalf of the budget. We held a budget workshop back in July at our July meeting where we discussed the projects that you had identified that we were going to work on this coming year. So before you is the ordinance to approve a budget of expenditures in the amount of $15,357,746. General fund revenues well, not general fund, but urban renewal revenues that are non-property tax increment are $10,100. And then tax increment financing property tax revenues at $10,074,457,000. Total revenues between the two is $10,084,557. Netted against your expenditures results in a use of fund balance in the amount of $5,273,189. And with that, I'll stand for questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Ms. Mitchell on the budget? We've been going through this for a number of months now, and you guys have been through a couple of workshops addressing the budget, and so this is the hearing that is open for comment on the budget as it's been proposed to us. Hearing no comments from commission members, I just want to thank you all for being part of that budget process and spending extra time to get through it. We do appreciate that. That takes us then to the public hearing. We have just one person signed up. Does anybody else want to speak before we go further? Okay, Randy DeJong, I believe must be the spokesman for the group.
Yes, my My name's Randy Young. I live at 1601 Gold King Drive. It is in Middleton, but I am representing many people from Caldwell this evening. And I guess I acknowledge that I've been sworn in according to what it tells me here.
Thank you.
We have a very, very active pickleball group in this area. But also, as we look at, we are very appreciative of the support and the efforts put in by the Urban Renewal Agency and also the working with the city of Caldwell. There's a good relationship. We have over 107 members in our club, but there are at least 30 or more players that come and use these courts. As you talk and think about urban renewal, this is also adding value to the park at Louis Park. It's getting much more use. This morning, we had all 5 of the pickleball courts in use. There were what we call a paddle line for people waiting to get on for one part of the courts with 9 paddles in it. And we had another part with another waiting line with 5 paddles. And they were all completely filled. We're going to start bringing a portable net because there's one more court painted that has no permanent net at this point. And we do take care of it. We've worked hard to make this park viable by repurposing the tennis courts, filling cracks, painting on lines with the help of the city. They purchase the nets and we take care of them. We store them in the Rose Garden storage area. One thing that's really great is the club will come in at the beginning of each year and clean and prepare the courts for the new season. Also, at the end of the year, we clean and then take down the nets so that they will last longer. We have, connected with the Parks and Recreation Department with Denise Milburn. She has asked us, and we have been able to provide clinics for the residents of the surrounding area and anybody that would like to take lessons by, through the Parks and Rec Department. This summer, I had a group of 12 kids that we gave lessons to at one time and 2 kids for another time. Great experience, plus some adults that also came to the clinics. But what is really great is this also brings people into the park, and then they will patronize some of the local businesses, bringing some more revenue and stuff to your local people. We also, I gave you a handout. It shows you how pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America if you look at the magazine. But on the handout, you will see how popular it is in the Treasure Valley. And on the back, there's the representation of, suggestions and so forth that I believe Ron Redmond has shared with the city engineer. Doesn't mean that's how it's going to happen, but the new courts that we're hoping to see come in are going to bring in many more people. It will become one of the premier sites in the county and in the Treasure Valley. Also, I love the location right by the freeway exit. It is easy to access, and with these courts, we'll even be able to bring in tournaments because these are designed for sanctioned play, which gives us many more options to bring in more players. You will see nothing but growth. You will see usage on a daily basis. We have players here every single day, and it is packed. We have close to 200 followers on Facebook. It's a game that works for all ages. We have members in our club in their 80s, and they are loving it. It keeps us younger. It keeps us alive, and well, yeah, I'm still here. Think of it. We get a social aspect that really improves the quality of our lives. We get the physical And we also have the reputation of being the friendliest courts in the Treasure Valley. Because people that have no clue of what the game is, when they come, we welcome them in. We fit them into a group, or we have people that will separate themselves off to help them learn the basics. People do not feel like they don't count, or, oh, I can't play here because I'm not good enough. We love the sport, we're addicted, and we would like to invite all of you to come down sometime and give it a try. Many of us have extra paddles. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Mr. DeYoung? And I apologize for butchering your name.
You're fine.
initially, but-
I have heard much worse.
Any questions for Mr. DeYoung? Thank you.
Chair.
Yes, Ms. Wolver.
Have you considered, and maybe you've done it, putting up some flyers and stuff at the senior center here in Caldwell, letting people know when you play?
I have not thought about that, but that's great. We will work on that. Oh, it's on the website, but we will put them out there for the people that do not go online.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Anything else? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. DeYoung. And I would just like to comment that, while this budget does have funds in it, that are at the discretion of the city council to allocate, we're in the portion of our urban renewal budget where almost all of our monies are allocated to various agencies. And so it would really be a city council decision on the pickleball courts. However, I do know there is sentiment in the city council to go ahead and make sure this is a priority project for us. So I think you can be fairly well assured that things are going to happen there. I know Mr. McDonald has been working on some design and some engineering and what the costing is going to be. We are limited somewhat in the funds and the footprint and all the things that we can really do with it. So we'll do the best we can with what we've got. But we recognize that pickleball is very popular. And we also recognize you guys have been putting up with a lot out at Ruby Park. Those are not the friendliest surfaces out there. And I'm surprised it is actually contributing to your health and not harming it at all. But we'll see if we can fix that over the next year or so. All right. You got it. Any other comments or questions about the budget or any other items? This is legislative, so if anybody else has anything they want to mention, you're free to talk to us.
Mr. Chairman? Yes, Mr. Chairman. Just out of curiosity, I'd like to see the raise of hands of, how many folks are here just for the pickleball? Wow, okay, that tells me this is important. Yeah. Thank you.
I had a certain question answered, I didn't send out a heavy-duty email.
Mr. Chair, did you have something to say?
Yes, I just wanted to thank Mr. DeYoung and, the pickleball players. They have been, very, helpful in coming up with designs and ideas. I just wanted to, assure the Urban Renewal Commission as well as, those in the audience that there is money that is, set aside for these pickleball courts. We did send out for bids, and they exceeded the dollar amount for the non-specified bids, so we're going to have to go back and do a actual full bid. And so I know that this morning, as we talked about projects, myself, the city engineer, and Carol Mitchell, the city finance director, there is money specified in the urban renewal budget that is city-directed money to do improvements at Luby Park, and one of those improvements is pickleball courts. We are working on the final design. I do know that there has been a design submitted to Mr. Young, I think, or Mr. McDonald by Mr. Young, or at least somebody from the pickleball folks. And I know this morning the conversation was how to fit those in under the circumstances we have with the ball field on one side and, of course, the road on the other side. But it looks like those might fit the way that you have prescribed. So what they're in the process of doing is finishing the actual design so that we can go to formal bid. Again, we just went out for informal bid, and the price came back too high. So we're going to have to go to formal bid, but that is an active discussion at the staff level, and we expect to have some design work done and be able to go out for formal bid. I think Mrs. Mitchell, didn't Mr. McDonald say yes this fall?
Mr. Mayor, that's correct. We did,
Yeah.
discuss that, and he did identify that we'll be working on that RFP this fall.
Okay, just wanted you to know that, so, we've heard you, and of course, we wish we could have moved quicker, but in this environment, it's hard to come by dollars, it seems like, and I apologize for that, but there is money in this budget, identified for upgrades at Ruby Park, and one of the specific upgrades is pickleball courts. That, I just stand for any questions.
Any questions or any comments for the mayor? All right, so thank you.
I have a comment.
Mr. DeYoung,
The club,
if you come up to the microphone, I hate to do that to you, but it gets it on the record that way.
the club is also willing to do whatever we can to help work towards some of the shortfall.
Yeah, that is a bit more of a tenuous, path for us. We've, quite often when we have, too much participation by a particular interest group, then they sort of feel an entitlement to the facility. And whatever we build has
Ours
to
would
be.
not be that significant.
Yes, our facility has to be a public facility, so that's kind of
No
where we have to go, but that's okay.
Thank you very much.
We will certainly appreciate it, and I know behind the scenes and scheduling and all that stuff, you guys will be very involved anyway, so, we very much embrace that help, so thank you. All right, so if there's no other comments on the public hearing, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Moved by Ms. Warwick then, and second by Mr. Porter to close this public hearing on the budget for 2022. Any further discussion? Secretary Caldwell, please.
Warwick?
Yes.
Porter?
Yes.
Hopper?
Yes.
Rivera?
Yes. Okay, this public hearing is closed, and that then takes us to the resolution that would approve the Urban Renewal Agency budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2021. This is a resolution of the Urban Renewal Agency of the City of Caldwell, Idaho, approving the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2021. And then I would entertain a motion then for approval of this budget. Moved by Ms. Warwick. Second. Second by Mr. Ramirez to approve the resolution for enacting our budget. Any further discussion? Will the Secretary call roll, please?
Yes. Warwick?
Yes.
Hopper?
Yes.
Porter?
Yes.
Rivera?
Yes. The resolution is approved, and we'll have a budget, yes, to submit to the next bodies that have to go through. All right, that takes us in. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you coming, and you're welcome to stay for more. Actually, the next part's really exciting, because it is our economic development report. No, pretty much. Oh, I'm sorry, clear out the room, Mr. Jenkins. Okay, Mr. Jenkins, our economic development activity report for June. For June? We're behind.
Yeah.
I bet it's July.
Yes, thank you, Chairman, Commissioners, I appreciate that, and my apologies for clearing the crowd, I tend to have that effect on people, so, sorry about that. I'll start off with miscellaneous updates that kind of include the greater Caldwell area outside of downtown, so, Project East Coast, this is a well-known sandwich shop, they're looking for opportunities to open in greater Caldwell, they have submitted an LOI actually on the building in the college district, so, we're excited to make that announcement in the very near future, and that's a good one for our community. Canyon Village Development, this is an exciting mixed-use project that's planned for Cleveland Boulevard and Homedale Road. This site will feature residential and commercial / retail users. So, this one has been a long time coming, and, things have certainly solidified, so they're looking to get off the ground by the end of this year. So we're really excited to welcome them into the area. Project Carbon, this is a California manufacturer. They are continuing to investigate location opportunities in Caldwell. I continue to work with them. They are looking pretty seriously at a building now. They were just here yesterday looking at it again. So we're hopeful that they will finalize their plans to locate here. And again, they're looking to bring in some of their employees from the California market as well. So the next part of this presentation includes some of the projects we've been working on, just to give you just a general idea of some of the RFIs and inquiries that come into, my office. So Project Ecosphere, this is a commerce lead that are a manufacturer looking for 75 acres. We submitted 2 sites on that project. Project Henderson is another commerce lead. The food processor looking for 20 to 25 acres. We also submitted 2 sites for their consideration. And I actually just submitted on another project that came in late last week. So just to give you an idea of some of the frequency that we see with these inquiries that come into the area. So things are still really busy for manufacturers and industrial properties. So that's a good sign for the health of the economy as a whole. So Project Pellet, they're finalizing terms on a site in East Caldwell. That's 100,000 square foot retailer will be an anchor user in the area. So we are really excited to make that announcement very soon. So North Ranch, Sky Ranch, just a quick update. We're moving dirt on building 1 in North Ranch. So they're looking to get off the ground later this year for that first building. And we have a total of 4 buildings under construction in Sky Ranch now. So really good things happening. If you haven't taken a stroll through Sky Ranch, there's a lot of activity that's going on right now. So it's great to see all that. Still working with the sports complex. We did find a site where it's working out the kinks on that particular site, but we're hopeful that that sports complex, again, an out-of-state market interest coming into the area, will solidify plans on that site. Then Project Fire, working with a light manufacturer on a 265,000 square foot building in Sky Ranch that's currently under construction. This project will bring about 200 jobs to the area. Project Timber, light industrial project near Sky Ranch. This 44,000 square foot building is set to break ground in September. Will create about 10 to 15 additional jobs. And now I'm going to shift to downtown activity, which is, again, just as robust as Greater Caldwell. So it's a good time to be in the area. So the Cleveland Event Center, this is now Venue 711. They fully leased the retail pads along Kimball Avenue. So those are all spoken for. And then the office space upstairs is actually being considered by an out-of-state user. We expect to see an LOI move forward on that space. So things are really, really busy for Mike Once and his team at Venue 711. It's looking really good, that space is as a whole. 516 Main Street RFP, this one closes on Friday. We're receiving interest for those 2 properties that are connected to this RFP. And most inquiries, they include retail, commercial uses, and we're expecting some exciting submittals on that one. So just stay tuned. I'm looking forward to Friday for a number of reasons, but in particular that RFP and the submittals that we'll receive. So 710 Main Street, this is downtown, this is owned by Bob Jenkins, undergoing some improvements to the facade. They are looking to accommodate a future restaurant, anchor restaurant, and then some smaller retail users at that site. And then the James Building downtown has a new owner as well. The owner is from the Portland area, wants to create a special project to enhance that side of downtown. Project Start, this is an upscale lounge from Ada County. They've taken an interest in the area. We had a site visit with them, a few weeks ago, and they have identified a building downtown on the plaza. They're moving forward with an LOI, a letter of intent on the space. They'll be serving light food options in addition to their lounge concept. And then working with a couple of restaurant groups, again, still continue to work with these groups out of Ada County. Project Plant, finalizing terms on the building downtown. They are locally owned and operated, and they are hoping to open next month, so they're getting close. We're just working out the details on that one. And the RFP for Arthur Kimball, it's ready to go. It's out there, it's live, and this will close September 13th. So again, just kind of fielding inquiries on that one as well. And then this one, Commissioners and Chairman, I am seeking some feedback on. I have received some interest on 215 and 217 South Kimball Avenue, which is under the ownership of the Urban Renewal. Developers have asked questions about if the commission has been desirous of retaining those buildings or demolishing those structures that are on site there. Just looking for general direction as to how I might lead these inquiries going into the future. Of course, we know that we're sunsetting in 2022, and I'm interested to know how I might direct these developers as far as they look at these opportunities in downtown Caldwell. So any direction from you, Chairman, and commissioners here is certainly welcome at this time regarding 215 and 217 South Kimball Avenue.
So, just to bring you back to speed, I think we've talked about this before, but these are the 2 buildings adjacent to the creek on Kimball, that we've had a number of tenants in. Right now, only 1 tenant is in 1 building, where there used to be 2, and the other building is empty. And so it's a good time to figure out what we're gonna do with those buildings. What we had hoped for, because they've got really, shallow basements that are prone to flooding from Indian Creek, we wanted to just sort of bring those buildings down and put something nice up in its place that wouldn't suffer those calamities. It does share, a common wall with the Norman Jewelers building, which is potentially problematic. We've got an engineering study out that we haven't gotten results from yet to see if the two buildings could come down, and not harm the Norman building. So what we were thinking was, that we could float an RFP now, because we've had a developer, that is reasonably confident that he can salvage the buildings and make them workable and usable. So we're looking at potentially floating an RFP that gives one of two options, either, a project that raises the buildings and puts something new up in its place, or alternatively, should the engineering study deem that the buildings aren't salvageable, or we can't bring the buildings down without harming the Norman building, that's what I was trying to say, then they could, an option for an RFP that would refurb the buildings and rehabilitate them. So, just looking for some direction, if the commission is okay with that we try to get that RFP out quickly, and try to get a response to it while the agency and the agency will survive, but the district won't, when the area closes. We want to make sure that there was a project in place for that. Any comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Rivers.
You said there's two buildings, but only one tenant. When's the last time the other one was occupied?
Just a few months ago, we used to have an accountant in there, it's vacated the space.
Is there anybody interested in renting it out now, or?
There have been some desire to use it for storage, use it for, a few things, no heavy retail interest, at this point. And we've been kind of reluctant to advertise it also, simply because we want to make sure we know what we want to do with those buildings in the long term. What I don't want to have happen is for us to retain ownership, do nothing with the buildings, continue to lease them, because at the end of the retirement of the area, then those properties would go to the city. And the city would then be a landlord competing against the rest of the market, and our ability to dispose of that property easily is greatly reduced, and we wouldn't be able to control its interests. So there's a lot of reasons not to let it get that far down the road.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, Ms. Warren.
do we need to wait for that engineering study before we vote on RFP?
Well, what we would like to do probably is prepare the RFP regardless of the engineering study, so that we can be ready to release it quickly. And I guess the question, this really isn't on the agenda, so we really can't take an action on it. But if we had an RFP prepared and ready to go, we could have a very quick special meeting over the phone and just approve the RFP and get it out there before our next meeting in September. We wouldn't want to wait that long. That makes sense? Yeah.
Rob, do you have any suspicion as to which way the engineering report will come in?
That's a good question. We've taken a look at it, and it looks like potentially the buildings can be isolated from each other, with the way that the roof structure is, established or laid out. But there was enough uncertainty that, Mr. Horton felt like it was necessary to bring a structural engineering just to evaluate for sure. We certainly don't wanna do anything that's gonna compromise the Norman building. So that's why we're taking that extra step.
And, Mr. Chairman, our preference would be that it be structurally sound and then raise the existing building.
Correct. The two buildings share a common wall, and the wall would remain then, if the buildings were scraped out. If, again, provided we can do that without damaging them. Okay? So, is it okay to have, direct Mr. Jenkins to go ahead and prepare the RFP as best we can at this point, and when we get the structural, report back, that'll give him direction on exactly what that needs to say.
That's a good idea.
All right. Sounds like you have a task ahead of you.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioners.
Yeah, Ms.
One
Rowland.
more question for Mr. Jenkins. Remind me again where the James building is. That's ringing a bell, but I can't place it.
So the James Building is located on Wayne Street. It is at 704 Lane, I believe. So the Chamber of Commerce is occupying
Oh, okay,
that space.
got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
It has that
Okay.
frontage on Lake Street.
All right, thank you.
Terrific. Thank you very much. I really
I
appreciate it.
just have a comment too about Mr. Jenkins' report. Project Pellet, I know we've been talking about it for a long time, but it's a really big project, a huge investment, and, landing that is a, really, huge deal for the future of Caldwell. So, that's, kudos to Mr. Jenkins for getting us this far, and hopefully the stars will still align and everything happens, so.
And then after cutting soon,
Very soon. I'm thinking as quickly as a week or so is what I anticipate. So we're really excited for that one. I'm ready for the balloons and the cake and everything else to come out. It's really big excitement as the chairman.
Where's the party gonna be, huh?
You know, we can have it here if you like.
We will have it probably in several places. The other question I had for you was on 516 Main, on the RFP there. Is interest staying there? Do you think you're gonna get multiple applications for that? Does it look exciting? I mean, I'm just curious what the buzz has been.
Sure. Thank you, Chairman, and Commissioners. The excitement has certainly been there, since we launched the RFP, and it remains that way today. I anticipate numerous submittals on this site, so, yeah, just, the conversation I've had has been ongoing with the different groups that are considering this location have certainly been strong, so I certainly anticipate that.
And that's another one with some probable affinity or potential affinity with the Creekside development. That might warrant, another agenda item on a special meeting, just to consider the RFP to get that rolling as quickly as we could, as well, make a decision and move forward. So just throwing that out there to warn you a little bit about what might be coming. And then finally, this is not such happy news. I did notice that Happy Teriyaki has put out some sandwich boards, attempting to reserve parking in front of their facility. And so, did you? Well, yeah, good, but, they're not supposed to do that, so I don't know, I hate for it to become, it spreads like a Delta virus, I think, so, we just don't wanna make sure that doesn't continue, so. We may wanna go visit them over a cup of coffee or something. Yes, something like that. Okay. Good. Sounds like we're already on. Any other questions or comments for, Mr. Jenkins?
Just a quick comment that's always been in the back of my mind is that I see more and more businesses choosing to locate here. And part of this comes from the humanity side of task reporter here. As we bring in thousands more people to live and work and raise their family in Caldwell, where are they going to live? It's a concern, because when we first consider the plaza and all these things, we talked about the money drain leaving the city, and that was one of the driving forces, one of the things that I was really glad to hear talked about. But if employees come from Star and Middleton and Parma to work in Caldwell, they're taking their money home with them. So the housing issue comes to the forefront just as much as attracting new business. You're doing a great job, and housing isn't on you, but it's on the rest of us, citizens, as council, as urban renewal. It's something that we're going to have to really consider. So thank you for all that you've done. It's splendid work.
Thank you, Commissioner Ford. I really appreciate that, and I agree with you. I think that it certainly has been a national crisis, and I've been following it closely. And just seeing what's under construction now, we have years to make up for in terms of stock and inventory for housing. Certainly getting there, and I've seen some positive trends on our side internally, but we definitely have a long way to go. But I appreciate you bringing up that sentiment. It certainly rings true with me, and I've seen the impact from economic development as it relates to different companies looking to relocate or locate here for a second location. And they consider this aspect of development because it impacts their employees directly. So, very valid. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Jenkins? All right, thanks, sir. That then takes us to new business, and this is for our invoices for payment from our treasurer, Ms. Mitchell.
Chairman, Commissioners, you have tonight before you a request to approve $437,579.23 in expenses. They break out with the following payments. City of Caldwell for their August economic development contribution, Hamilton, Michelson, Hilti for our July attorney services, AMVAC for their BIG payment number 6 for April through June, and then City of Caldwell, several reimbursements going on. We've got $27,900 for the North Ranch project. We've got $56,265 for some work that's been started over there at the Brothers/Sisters Park for some frontage that began over there. We have $5,000 for an appraisal analysis over by Pike Dream. We've got some final expenses coming in for the Lions Park restroom of $7,748.97. And 7th and Main Street, payment for that consultant work that's being done for the Festive Street for $3,885. And then some operating costs at $1,290.26. And then we have our final payment for the cemetery loan that we took out. So $286,000 there for the final payment to the city on that loan.
Any questions for Ms. Mitchell on the invoices? That cemetery loan repayment, is that the last of the internal loans that we have to pay off? So that's the end of that, right?
That's it.
That's what I thought. Okay, I would entertain a motion then to dispose of the invoices for August. Moved by Mr. Ramirez, second by Mr. Porter to approve the invoices for payment. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's done. Ms. Mitchell, you have the monthly cash reconciliation report for us.
Thank you. We have before you a reconciliation for $13,382,651.58, broken out into the following three accounts. Our LGIP account of $116,591.64, the Banner Bank CD of $260,380.49, and then our operating account at $13,015,679.45. That operating account breaks down into the following categories. We have restricted for other taxing districts at $9,052,710.94. We have the city increment at $2,505,053.72. We have our TVCC rental income account at $740,139.32. And then our restricted core dock creation, our land account at $717,775.47. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Any questions for Ms. Mitchell on the cash report? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve the cash report for August. Moved by Mr. Porter, second by Mr. Ramirez to approve that monthly cash reconciliation report. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that takes us to our attorney report. Mr. Hilti, got the short straw business tonight, huh?
Why do I have a short straw?
Having to come out here and talk to us.
Oh, we fight over this responsibility.
I know you do.
And I have Seymour, so I was shoved to the end. Among my list are a couple things that Stephen reported on. We have two RFPs pending for downtown, which are exciting. One is the 516 Main that he talked about, and the other on Kimball and Arthur. Both of those coming up shortly, and I will do what we always do, which is to staff at the economic team take first cut and evaluating those, and of course everything we brought forward for discussion at subsequent urban renewal meeting. On the Cleveland Event Center parking area, since our last meeting, I've had vacation. I think Rick has been out of town. I texted him last week asking for an update. He did not respond to that. So, there was a time earlier in the year, you will recall, when we talked about, maybe needing to consider an alternate way to proceed on, there are actually two properties. One, the agency has an option on, that's the one that's on Plain Street that's associated with Mike Mussel's redevelopment of Cleveland Event Center. There's, as the agency will recall, there's also an option on a property on Albany, north of the tracks, also on Kimball, that there's been some interest in Destination Caldwell using that site or a portion of it for some temporary
chairs, things like that. So we're getting the options don't expire until February, so we're not up against it in terms of contractual dates. But it is increasingly getting to the point where we need to move forward. So, what happened before, I suggest that we may be looking at exercising the option, closing on those properties, and then moving forward with DEQ on what, environmental issues need to be resolved. That's probably a discussion we need to have again. At that time, there was some progress, there was some access to adjoining properties that Rick had been waiting on, and we were hopeful that things would move forward, but, be ready for perhaps a recommendation on that at the next meeting. We'll see how this month goes. On Creekside, that project is progressing. We are working on looking at a parking lease for some of their residential and hotel users downtown. The attorney for Creekside was going to put a draft of that together. I haven't seen it yet, but I don't think it's urgent at this time, but it is in the works. There was also a no-build easement that they wanted on a piece of the creek property. It's a little triangular piece, where there's the musical, saying it wrong, the musical park. They're asking that the city agree not to ever build anything on that parcel. You can see where it's, look, I misspoke, it's being identified on the street now, so it's a triangular piece kind of up, along the creek. Obviously, the concern that they would have is if they built their buildings orienting them toward the creek, which is what we very much want them to do, they wouldn't want to see the city turn around and do an RFP or the agency on that triangular piece, wind up with a new building. It's a park. We certainly will retain the right to do anything in there that is park-related in terms of seating, benches, landscaping, those types of things. But I think it's reasonable for us to, at least as an agency, to consider a no-build easement, because that really wasn't the plan, and that really, I can see how at staff level that would be problematic for them. So that document also is in the works. Likely you will see something at the next meeting. We worked through a few title issues. There were some old documents regarding party walls and joint access that were sort of hanging around because, as you'll recall, this parcel was assembled from numerous old, smaller parcels, and so I think the title company has largely worked through any clouds on title that might have been created by documents that clearly have no ongoing purpose at this point. And then lastly, on Creekside, we did get the results of the reuse appraisal. I haven't had a chance to fully analyze that yet, but I can tell you that the reuse appraisal came in substantially negative, which is not particularly a surprise. The phase one reuse appraisal for that portion of property and project was minus $2.46 million. Phase two minus $5.27 million. So the total reuse appraised value of the site is minus $7.73 million, which is kind of a gold figure. But I think it stands for a couple of things. Number one, it indicates the importance of urban renewal in downtown. It is extremely difficult to make, projects pencil without the help of the urban renewal agency. And the notion that the private sector would pick this up and run with the ball is problematic, given the economics of building out towards freeways and out on farm ground and those types of things. So I think it underscores the importance of this agency and others like it in the state. Now, a reminder, that means that the sales price on that property is at $0. We were not ever going to go below that, and so we will be looking at a closing for $0. That was anticipated, and it also complies with the statutory requirement that the agency cannot sell property for less than fair market value. And again, based on the reuse process, the fair market value is minus $7.73 million. Zero is more than that. So we've got a little bit of a safe margin there. Any questions on that before I move on to Creekside?
Any questions on Creekside?
Okay. Stephen did have a conversation with Chandler Austin that he shared with me just before the meeting started that they believe themselves to be fully on target for groundbreaking by December 1st, which was the deadline that they'll have. And we'll be looking at property closing sure we'll have, some fun, renderings and design plans and so forth to look at here, this fall, hopefully at the next meeting. On the north reallocation area, there have been tweaks to the map, as you know, those have now been sent to the county. They are analyzing, the map, of course, it includes a significant portion of area that's currently outside of the city limits, so we'll need the county to be a partner in this. The feasibility study, there's been significant progress made on that. I can't speak intelligently, I'm not directly involved in that, but I know Rob and his team have prepared, the list of projects and estimated costs for that. LJ's been working on the revenue side, looking at, what would be anticipated for, tax revenue. And I think Stephen can attest that there continues to be significant interest in that area from development, and it could take off much faster than what we anticipated, which has lots of benefits. We can't have projects, but we can get through them quicker, and if we do that, we can sunset that area and bring all those properties onto the tax rolls for the benefit of all of the taxing districts, around. So that's an exciting time to watch that go. And again, the formal processing of that, from my end of it, the legal processing, the hoops we have to jump through, the findings and the documents, the contracts, the ordinance, that'll all begin about, September 1st. So by the time I report to you again on that, we'll have some of that, underway. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman. I take any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Anthony? We're good to go? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Let's see, that takes us to the chairman report. So I don't have a lot to report, except that, as you know, we talked about the Silver Bridge project, not happening, most likely. So in the meantime, I believe staff has talked with, Canyon Highway District and looking at alternate projects. They are very excited about, part of the, U-stick widening that we know we need to do, in conjunction with the bridge, at the interstate. And there's also, a project that is also, adjacent to the Renewal agency on the, Walmart side of the bridge as well, to replace the, Wilson Drain crossing, yes. And so so those are two opportunities to, spend those funds on, and so I think we're proceeding down that direction, as long as you guys are amenable to that. I think that's where Canyon Highway District would like to see us spend money, and I think it's, in the long run, the best benefit to, the population anyway. More people are gonna use that U-stick, roadway than when they were go across the bridge area. So, and then the other thing, just to let you know, it's, there's currently, we've hounded McCain enough that, they think they're going to make a decision by August 20th, on whether or not they're gonna move forward with that project. They are they would have to, do some kind of groundbreaking in a very short order should they continue on. So I'm sort of anticipating that, we'll be in a position, to purchase that, property back, at the price that it was sold, which actually wouldn't be a bad thing for us because it's certainly worth a lot more than that today. So, Ms. Mitchell would have a short-term headache, try to come up with a payment, and a longer-term benefit to the agency, afterwards. So, we'd like to get that kind of settled as quickly as possible. That's coming up, sooner than that's 20 acres, right? Is our portion. McCain has also purchased a 3 or 5 acre piece next to it, that is fully in their ownership, so that we wouldn't have anything to do with, unless they throw it in with it. Yeah, that'll happen. Okay, I think that's all I have. Any commission reports? Anyone? All right. If there aren't anything else to do, there's just one more action we have to take. Mr. Chairman? Yes, Mr. Ramirez. I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn. It's been moved to adjourn by Mr. Ramirez. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Warwick. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're done. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Pleasure being here with you tonight, even if it's virtually.
Thanks for stepping in. All right.
Goodbye.
Yeah, I was,
We didn't even do anything.
No, I didn't know they were that active here in Caldwell. I know
Oh,
they
yeah.
do that little park out on.
we've been getting letters from some time about this.
And you see people over there playing all the time. All the time. I just, Dad, right there, start right there. Right there. Some people playing on their own.
I got the look now, so I can figure out what it is.
There you go.
It looks like that.
Yeah, it looks like you gotta appreciate it.
It's like a combination of tennis and baseball.
Really?
Yes, did you do the photos?
No.
No, no, no. It is.
But it looks like they made the H cut off.
Yeah, I have played it, and it is a good game for all sorts of abilities and ages, and it really is kind of fun, so.
Hear a lot about it.
It's a little like tennis with a racquetball.
What do you think, Carol?
Carol's, taking the brunt of it.
I've been talking it all with, affordable one, yes, Oh, man.
It's very, very appropriate that you guys don't want them to.
They don't let their fly.
Yeah. That's what happens when you retire, you'll have everything else to do, but try to go pickleball. Like I said, my wife's been telling me about it.
Well,
Where we go.
it isn't gonna get that much easier, because after we do this and build the damn thing, then it's gonna be, all right, there needs to be fully open public hours, and so you don't have to go through your club and your scheduling, and that's gonna be the next challenge, so try to fix the basic schedule instead of the challenge.
We know exactly how the wheels turn and everything else.
Oh, yeah, yeah, this is good.
So we're not-
And a public park.
Yeah.
Supposed to be back on Friday.
I would say they're probably go further on the floor.
That'd be good.
Right?
Yeah.
Then you can do all the way you want.
Like,
We got me
if I'm in
going on
state,
about 3 years
then I know my
ago.
box is destroyed, and then like purchase me, right, when I'm at a certain point each day, for like an hour or come back to that mess.
Yeah, and his gets destroyed.
So we travel
Oh, I bet.
around, try to get some budget numbers stored in. You got a good you got good next donation. Then we will.
You both get destroyed, people know where to find you.
Yeah, I do.